If we have the ability to not give in to the fear, because it is the fear and the terror that is used as the means of control, right? Don't step out of line. If you simply can get enough people to switch and start getting momentum in that feelings of love or compassion, cooperation, and wanting stability, hoping for peace, pushing for peace, and all those things, rather than the terror, divisive, there's pretty much nothing they can do. There's nothing. What are they going to do? If you give into that, you're good. And so it also reminds me of something that I always ask people who come on the show, which is, after studying all this and getting so deep into the knowledge, how much of what you've taken from their teachings do you incorporate into your daily life? Because there's going to be some people who are going to be fascinated with everything that we've just talked about. What could you give to someone whether they're trying to better their lives? What did the ancients say about that? Trying to have a peaceful life, happier life, manifest love, wealth, etc. Is there anything from what you've researched that touches on how we should structure our daily lives in that sense?
That's a huge question. First of all, I would start where we just left off, which is learning to discover the power of love and solidarity. Because you don't need to dethrone any elites or even dethrone autocratic government to make huge progress through solidarity, because through solidarity, we can create more local economies. We can benefit from helping each other in our businesses. We can help each other by creating stakeholder companies. We can help each other simply by buying locally. There are huge things we can do with all the power still in place, simply by recovering the idea of love and solidarity, which is how our more recent ancestors got through, for instance, the Depression of the 1930s. But for me, one of the things that's been really exciting out of this research is when your story of human origins changes, your understanding of human potential changes. Because all the narratives that I found that talk about us being genetically modified by visitors in the past, they all talk about a time when our ancestors were smarter than we are today. We were better at future viewing. We had better farsight, or what we might call remote viewing. We had better empathy and telepathic connection with one another. We had better self-healing ability. And that all this was somehow dumbed down. So you go to the 𝗏𝗏 𝗏𝗏, which is the Mayan story of human origins. I love that story because it's so frank about the difficulties the feathered serpents had in producing Homo sapiens, clever enough to be a workforce, but not so smart that we didn't want to work for them. And we come to the moment, which repeats all around the world, where we are too smart to be managed. And so the feathered serpents hold an emergency meeting. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, for goodness sake, you've overshot the mark. Can you dumb them down? All right, okay, I'll find something. So 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 goes away and he comes up with a vapor that when sprayed over human populations, brain damages to the point where the higher cognitive abilities are impaired. And we're now limited to our 5 physical senses. So we only know what's happening right in front of us. And for anything else, we need an authority to tell us what's what. Bingo, say the feathered serpents, we can work with that. That echoes in African story, biblical story, Sumerian story, this dumbing down story. The Nigerians have a wonderful version of it. They tell the story of 𝗪𝗓𝗓 and 𝗓𝗓, who have produced the human race. They go on a holiday, they come back, and we're now dominating the planet. How are we going to manage these? Don't worry, I'll come up with something, says the wife. She goes away and she says, I'll come up with devices that if put them into the environment will reduce the physical health and mental health of the human beings, then we can manage them. These are awful stories when you think about it. I mean, who does that glorify? It doesn't glorify our ancestors or the visitors, but there is a positive take home, which is that in our DNA is still all the potential for higher cognitive abilities. All we need to do is make sure our environment is clean, that our air is clean, that our land is clean, that our food and water are as clean as we can get them. Because if we do that, we will find our higher cognitive abilities will start firing up again. And that's not fantasy. There is a real field of scientific research among neuroscientists around the world studying a phenomenon called acquired savant syndrome. And If you know about this, Will, it's an amazing topic.
No. This is crazy interesting. I need to know more.
Well, this is real peer-reviewed science. And this is where a person may have a head injury, a central nervous system event, stroke, may go into a coma. And then when they recover, they have a phenomenal ability that they didn't have before. So they may be able to speak a language they couldn't speak before, play a musical instrument they couldn't play before, be a brilliant artist in a way they never were before, have phenomenal abilities in mathematics and physics that they didn't have before. And so these neuroscientists are saying, how come these abilities are in our brains in the off position? I mean, a brain injury should make you less smart, not more smart. What are these abilities doing there latent? And if we can switch them on with an accident, can we switch them on deliberately? So our scientists are asking that question, whereas our shamanic traditions all around the planet have been answering that question for thousands of years, because our mystics and our shamanic traditions have always been about switching those abilities back on, giving us the intelligence we had before, helping you and me to have better future sight, far sight, empathy, telepathic connection, self-healing. That's what the shamanic traditions are all about. And that's why someone like Plato, who was engaging with shamanic traditions 2,500 years ago, had his world overturned by that and devoted his life to making human beings more intelligent and more conscious. So that's kind of the take home for me as well from my research. It's not just about what happened in the past. It's what is possible for you and me. How smart, how conscious can we be? And then how do we bring that in the way we organize as a society? If we're more conscious and more intelligent, then we can find better ways to live on this.
I've been fascinated in having these discussions because so many of you guys who do this, at such a deep level are all coming up with this statement, with this understanding of these latent abilities, these latent powers, that it's not, okay, you're from here and I'm from here, so you've got a special power and I don't. It's we have it, you've got it, it's in the off switch, there are things you can do, and it seems that the capabilities and the powers, let's say, are almost infinite. It seems that there's always a ladder and level for you to climb and keep going, and you can, you can get smarter, you can, be more intuitive and all these things. And so it's incredibly fascinating.